Arctic frost continues to get uglier and uglier the more we know. We find out now they were hoovering up the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee's phone records for 2 years. These people have some guts. I'll give them that. Joining me now, Congressman from the great state of Ohio, home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, Congressman Jim Jordan. So what exactly were they doing to you?
Getting your phone records. They know who you called, who called you, when you called them, how long you were on the call. And if you initiated the call, they knew where you were at because they could bounce it off the cell tower. So look, they're not getting the content, but they can pattern your life. I mean, every morning when my wife's not here in D.C., I text my wife. So they know that, oh, he's texting to this number. You call your brother, you call your best friend, you call your colleague, you call the president. They know who you're, that is creepy to me. So they were doing that for all kinds of members of Congress, all kinds of American citizens, because they thought somehow there was this grand conspiracy to promote alternate electors and change. Like, what are you talking about? And President Trump was somehow going to be prosecuted because he was the architect of this grand conspiracy. That's how ridiculous it is. And the things they did to, like, again, members of Congress. And for me, we found out it was for 2.5 years, which makes no sense because they go clear back to, I believe it was January of 2020. So before the election, before January 6th, what the heck is that about? Again, I think when you talk about the weaponization of government, this is it, in a nutshell.
Congressman, do you get the impression that they actually thought there was a grand conspiracy, or is this just the bottom line of how these dirty commies have always operated? You take control of the judiciary and you use it to attack your political opposition, and if that means harassing Jim Jordan and finding out when he texts his wife, well, that's just a nice benefit.
I think it's probably both. I do think these are, I always say, I always say not all Democrats are crazy, but the left that controls their party is. And the left is truly out to get President Trump. We've seen that time and time again over the last decade. So I do think it's driven by these people are probably left-leaning Democrats who are like, we're going to get Trump. We know he's bad, that kind of crazy mindset. So I think it's that. Plus, but I think it's also like, we're just going to go after it. And because we believe that we're willing to go after our enemies and go to whatever length we can, whatever means we think is appropriate. But yeah, these guys were serious. I just read that book by the left journalist Carol Leonnig called Injustice. And it chronicles this whole thing after January 6th and what happened at the Justice Department. And it's amazing how, she thinks Jack Smith is, just a saint, and all these guys who, Wyndham and Bratt and Cooney and Olson, all these guys who worked at the Justice Department, who worked on Arctic frost and then became part of the special counsel's investigation, how great these guys are. So it's just a mindset that the left has, and I think that's kind of what's driving. I mean, think about the subpoena for our phone records, my phone records. It said, they said to the judge, you can't tell Verizon, you can't tell the customer, in this case me, you can't tell the customer that the Justice Department got his phone records because we think he might tamper with evidence, might be a flight risk. Like I was going to leave the country. I mean, this is the dumbest stuff I've ever seen. But that's what these guys did. That's the subpoena they signed. That's what they sent. Judge okayed it. And Verizon couldn't tell me. That's crazy. But that's what they did.
Well, St. Jack Smith just got referred to the DOJ for obstruction of Congress by you. What does this mean? Does he get rung up for something? How does this work?
No. I want a slight correction. Wyndham, his deputy, we referred to Justice Department for obstructing our investigation. Wyndham is the guy who signed off on a lot of these subpoenas. What we did today is we actually sent a subpoena to Jack Smith to come in and sit for a deposition. So we have we subpoenaed Wyndham to come in for a deposition. He claimed all kinds of things, tried to obstruct our investigation. So we referred him to the Justice Department for prosecution. And we don't do this often. I mean, the facts got to be there. We rarely will do that. But we did it in the case of Wyndham because we think he earned it. We think he deserves it. We thought it was warranted. With Jack Smith today, though, we're sending out a subpoena. We want him to come in for a deposition. We want to ask him about all the things we've been talking about, the countless number of members of Congress that he got phone records on. and a host of other issues that we think are important. Now, we've deposed Wyndham, we've deposed Bratt, we've deposed Cooney, and we're going to depose others who were part of his investigation, but we subpoenaed Jack Smith today to come in for his deposition.
Judge Boasberg is somebody, it's a name well known by this point in time on the right. He's Mr. Injunction guy, Mr. Arctic Frost guy. He always seems to be there. Now he miraculously got the Eric Swalwell case. What a miracle. What can be done about this guy?
Well, we've done some things legislatively, on this injunction issue, to name one, where we said you can't, if a federal judge, and there's like, I think 700 of these around the country, if they issue an injunction, it should only apply to the parties in the case in that respective jurisdiction. So that bill, it's passed the House, it's over in the Senate. We hope the Senate will take it up and pass it. So we're working on some things legislatively. We're doing our oversight. And as you know, there have been members, actually one member even of our committee, who's filed impeachment resolution against Mr. Boasberg for some of the actions he's taken. So we're taking this step by step. Typically, you don't impeach judges unless they're engaged in like truly criminal behavior, or they're showing up drunk on the job, or something crazy like that. If it's based on decisions, there's always the remedy of the appellate court. So historically, our country has not looked at impeachment for bad decisions. But in this case, if you just take this gag order, this non-disclosure order that Boasberg signed for a number of my colleagues who the Justice Department was getting their phone records on, what's the remedy? There's no appeal process because the person who's been aggrieved doesn't know, because the judge said, Verizon, AT&T, you can't tell them. So there's no remedy to the concern there. So I do think Boasberg's getting in kind of some unique territory, and we're looking at all options as we move forward. But we're taking this step by step, and of course the next step is Jack Smith coming in for his deposition.
Congressman, is there any part of you, I mean, I understand you're a tough guy and a wrestler and whatnot. Is there any part of you that feels bad for the University of Michigan? I mean, they don't win now, and now they couldn't even beat us. And I mean, I'm almost sympathetic at this point in time.
Well, it's been, as you know, Jesse, I love the Buckeyes, from Ohio, coached at Ohio State, but I went undergrad at the University of Wisconsin, and the Badgers have had a tough couple of years as well. We actually have, it's interesting, we're talking today, we actually have a bill on the floor that we think will help the situation, this what's called the SCORE Act. We think it's a good step to help give a little more parity, to make sure we have opportunity for all student athletes, not just football and basketball, but the Olympic sports and women's sports as well. And our bill, I also think we try to remember with this legislation that it's supposed to be about getting an education. Right now we have a situation where we get a lot of people who play 5 years and transfer 4 times and never get a degree, maybe never go to class, for goodness sake. They just played sports, and okay, but I thought it was supposed to be student athlete. So we got some legislation that we think can be helpful around the board, but I'm not losing a whole lot of sleep over Michigan losing to the Buckeyes, and the Buckeyes being number 1 and undefeated on the season.
It is a shame, isn't it? It's a shame. Congressman, thank you, sir. I appreciate you. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.